Hey, I want to respond to a video from Taiwan, Taipei, I believe, um, which basically had my blood boiling. Um, this video isn't unique. There's similar videos like this all over the world. I've seen plenty from the US, and there's been a few high-profile cases in the UK. This one is from Taiwan, so it shows the problem of racism is truly an international one. So basically, the background is there was a white guy on the subway, the metro, with his presumably Taiwanese girlfriend. Um, the videos, the story went Asian girlfriend. So I'm assuming she's Taiwanese, but anyway, um, this this guy just came up and started verbally harassing them for no reason whatsoever. The guy in the video spoke fluent Chinese, certainly a lot better than mine, and he was explaining that they were minding their own business when this guy just decided to come up and start giving them verbal hassle. There was no violence, no physical violence, but the attitude of this guy I just found disgusting. And I found myself getting increasingly angry watching it and just looking at his face. I just wanted to smack it. That's how I felt. That's how angry I got. Um, I empathize because I've had Asian girlfriends, and basically there's a few things that were noticeable. Firstly, the white guy showed enormous restraint even when this piece of shit was insulting his girlfriend. The guy showed enormous restraint. Um, whether that's because he's a peaceful person or whether it's because he was thinking practically, i.e., it's better to record it and expose this guy to the world. Um, or whatever the reason it may be that as an outsider it wouldn't be safe for him to get into physical confrontation. I don't know if Taiwan is like China, but certainly in China, if that happened, there's a very strong chance the locals would back the Chinese guy because I do think there is a deeply seated racism in a lot of East Asian countries. It's denied, it's widely denied, but it is very obvious. And people were saying, well, why aren't others sort of intervening and telling the guy to fuck off and mind his own business and this sort of thing? And apparently it's a cultural thing that people just don't get involved. Now, that's not to say that people would necessarily get involved if this happened in, say, London. We have had high profile cases. For example, there's plenty of them around. There's been, and they're not all white people, incidentally. There was a black woman recently went into a verbal tirade against some Muslim women, and she was charged with harassment, I believe. Um, in the UK, there are strict laws about racist harassment, and there should be, in my opinion, because even if actual physical violence isn't involved, it's an absolutely disgusting way to treat anyone. I don't know what the situation is in Taiwan. I don't know if there's any sort of charges that could be leveled against this guy. There's no violence, but the whole time he's just throwing insults at this couple. And for example, he's telling the guy he's got bad English, he's foreign trash, all this sort of thing. He's basically calling the girl a traitor and she's a whore. And um, I have to say, I don't know if I could show restraint if any man was to call my girlfriend a whore in front of me. I don't know if I could show restraint. Um, I don't know if I could, and it is in a way a big testament to the guy that he did show the restraint he did. What was incredible too was this piece of shit actually had the audacity to call the white guy ugly. Well, this guy was um, no Brad Pitt or no Jeremy Lin. He was not a good-looking guy. He was bespectacled. He was. The point is, he was. It was pretty audacious for him to call the other guy ugly. He looked like shit himself. No offense to people with glasses. I wear glasses myself. I'm very angry because this guy was just. Anyway, I'm pleased the videos went viral. I'll try and put a link under this. I'm afraid my Chinese is very limited. I believe that's a language in Taiwan as well. Or Taiwanese, I guess, is a derivation of Chinese. But either way, I don't speak the language, so I am going on the translation, but no one's refuting that. No one's saying that it's mistranslated or anything. I noticed that when he was making the video, when he was sort of in his living room or whatever, giving the background, his girlfriend was covering herself. And this made me think, is she worried about some sort of retribution from racist scum? Um, I can't read the comments, so I don't know. I'd imagine a lot of Taiwanese people would condemn the guy's behavior. I hope they would. Um, but I do get the impression that racism is more accepted in Asian countries than it is in the West. In the West, it definitely happens. There's no question about that. But it is not only do we have laws against it, racist behavior is strongly condemned. Now, like I say, I can't read all the translations, so I'm not going to say that people weren't condemning it. But I have noticed that, well, when I was in mainland China, I remember I had a discussion one night with this guy, not just me, there was other people as well, and he was sort of denying that there was any racism in China, and he was saying, "Oh, it's just misunderstandings and sort of thing." So there is a denial that racism happens in East Asian societies, and I think this is characteristic of China, South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. All countries there are examples of racism, and in all countries there is widespread denials that it happens. I think Asian countries do have a very blood and soil mentality, um, because they are much, much less diverse than other parts of the world. I'm saying East Asia because there's other Asian countries that are very diverse, like Malaysia. Um, but somewhere like Taiwan is not a particularly diverse society compared to, say, Germany or the UK or Malaysia for that matter. So I do think that um, that's why this guy could feel that he had the audacity. And the interesting thing was he didn't even look like he was drunk or anything, so this didn't look like it was a mindless rant. He looked like he was being deadly serious, and that's what made it so disturbing. And looking at this guy, I just felt so angry because, like I said, I've had girlfriends from that part of the world, and if any man was to talk to me or my girl like that, I'd honestly have problems showing restraint. It's a good thing the guy did because the problem is if we got into like a physical confrontation, then people will be jumping to conclusions on the video and say, "Oh, the foreigner probably started it," and this sort of thing. So the fact that it was all on footage is very good. Um, if there are laws in Taiwan against harassment, I hope this guy is busted, and I hope his ass is dragged before the police, and I hope he's punished. He should be punished because this was a totally unacceptable example of verbal harassment, and it went on for quite a long time. It's not like he muttered a few words. He was really squaring up to the white guy and just, insulting him to his face and insulting his girlfriend. And yeah, so enormous respect for the guy for showing the restraint that he did. Although I wouldn't blame him for 1 second if he clocked the guy. God knows I would. I mean, honestly, that was my sentiments watching this. I just felt like fucking punching the guy's face, which is, I know violence isn't the way to deal with problems, but the audacity for this guy to just come up and seriously, what a piece of shit. And I think this is another thing I was going to talk about. I think some guys are motivated by this racist mentality of, foreigners with their women. Um, it's a very warped way of thinking, because not only are they attacking the foreigners, which is racism, but they also insult and attack their own women. Actually, no, I retract that. It's not a case of it being their own women. That's the point. Um, I'll rephrase that. They insult and attack women from the same ethnic or national background because they have the warped mentality that they own those women and that they can tell them who they should and shouldn't date. And then if they don't comply with that, then they're whores. Um, this guy strikes me as the sort of piece of shit that abuses women. Probably beats his girlfriend if he has one. Probably doesn't. He's probably a very bitter, insecure piece of shit with a small penis. And unfortunately, guys like that need to make up for it by taking it out on total strangers that have done nothing to them. Um, so I have to say I feel quite disgusted. I am pleased the videos went viral. It's a very good thing the guy has a good mastery of the language, certainly better than mine. Because I'm not sure if it would have had the same impact if if he didn't. There you go. But I have utter hatred for racists. I think that's just a very bleak and cowardly way to look at the world. I say cowardly because it's refusing to be open-minded. It's not having the courage to be an open-minded, decent human being. And it's a statement of weakness. It's not a statement of strength. So the racist in this video thinks he's being some sort of patriotic hero. He's not. He's a weak, insecure little man. And if I was Taiwanese, I would feel embarrassed by it. Um, this guy's a card, and his pathetic face needs to be plastered all over Taiwan and ridiculed. Fuck him. And he better pray he never meets me because I would be arrested for. That's how I feel about it. Hope, yeah. Anyway, to the original guy who's a victim of this, I hope he's getting a lot of support from local people. That would be nice to hear. I hope people aren't trying to make excuses for this racist piece of shit, and I'm sure they're not. You know, I know not Taiwanese people are the same. I know some Taiwanese people, and I've got a good impression overall. But I do think that there is a problem with racism in this part of the world, and it needs to be challenged. Um, there you have it.